Church. And good afternoon and happy Sabbath to those of you who've joined us online. Welcome back for our evening presentation on health. And I pray that your soul will prosper as we go through these items together. We'll start with hymn number 3-4. Wake the Song, hymn number 34. Please turn your hymnals to hymn number 3-4. Wake the song of joy and gladness, hither bring your noblest lays, banish every thought of sadness, pouring forth your highest praise. Sing to him whose care has brought us once again with friends to meet, and whose loving voice has taught us of the way to Jesus' feet. Wake the song, the song of joy and gladness. Wake the song, the song of jubilee. Joyfully with songs and banners we will greet the festal day. Shout aloud our glad hosannas and our grateful homage pay. We will chant our Savior's glory while our thoughts we raise above, telling still the old story, precious theme redeeming love. Wake the song, the song of joy and gladness. Wake the song, the song of jubilee. Thanks to thee, O Holy Father, for the mercies of the year. May each heart as here we gather swell with gratitude sincere. Thanks to thee, O loving Savior, for redemption through thy blood. Breathe upon us, Holy Spirit, sweetly draw us near to God. Wake the song, the song of joy and gladness. Wake the song, the song of jubilee. Amen. I'll now turn it over to Pastor Lloyd Grubb.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our health presentation this evening. And this evening is less of a lecture, more of I'm going to be communicating to you what I would do, or what I, or anybody that I'm counseling with or that dealt with coronavirus, from what my understanding is, what they did. So we have a full afternoon for you here. I'm going to be telling you the various different remedies, supplements, treatments, and also we'll be looking at some of the practical things to do if you're dealing with coronavirus, influenza, or any other type of RNA diseases or viruses. So welcome again to those who have joined us online and those who are joining us from the various different online platforms that we stream to. So we're going to start with a short word of prayer, and I'm going to get straight into the presentation and the practical demonstration of what to do. So let us pray. Our Father who art in heaven, we believe, dear Lord, in your promise that no matter what's going on, that you want us to be healthy and to prosper and to be in the best of health, both spiritually and naturally. May you bless us, dear Lord, as we review these things. And bless all those who are presented themselves here, and also for them, those who present themselves online to watch this presentation. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So I'm going to start off this evening by reading to you a disclaimer that I wanted to share because of the situation when dealing with viruses. Each person react different to different supplements, to different herbs, different food. And so everything I share here is primarily what I do and what I do from day to day, and also if I'm feeling sick or start to feel sick. So the disclaimer is the information shared here is not meant to replace the advice or instruction of your medical provider. So I'm not trying to replace the advice of a medical provider that you have, that you deal with and know you more and know your vitals and know the different problems that you face. These are primarily from what I experience and what I do for myself, because each person has to know their body best, and each person probably or should have some primary healthcare provider or somebody that they counsel with for health. The information I'm about to share is not intended to substitute, to be a substitute for you going to a hospital or an emergency room. If your symptoms get out of control, especially if you are having difficulty breathing, the aim here is to give you pointers for things you can do for yourself to try to keep your symptoms under control. So if you're having difficulty breathing to a point where you feel like you're having an asthma attack, I've had that in the past because I had asthma when I was younger. It is very scary. And not, if you get to that point, my advice is if you can't do for yourself to open up your airwaves, it's best for you to go to the emergency room and a hospital. But everything that we're going to talk about here is to avoid you getting to that point. Now, our focal point most naturally is coronavirus, or what they call COVID-19. And I want to read off the symptoms. And why I want to read off the symptom is not to diagnose if you have the disease or not. If you're watching me, you're feeling sick. And the reason is, if you're feeling sick, what you should do is go find medical help and get them to test you, to prove if you have the disease or not. If you've seen the symptoms and you want to do your own self-diagnosis, that's on you. That's not on me. But I'm going to tell you the symptoms. And the reason why I'm telling the symptoms is not to make you figure out if you have the disease or not. But I'm telling you the symptoms because I want to tell you my approach to deal with disease naturally as a person who studied herbs and a person who is into natural health for all these decades. Is how I approach any problem is I'm trying to hold down the symptoms. The reason why I try to hold the symptoms down or work hard to make sure the symptoms don't get out of control is I want to give myself time. Why am I giving myself time, or why you should give yourself time? Time gives yourself enough opportunity for the immune system to figure out the virus and to work to kill the virus. And you want to give yourself also relief so the immune system can work the best way it possibly can. It can be most effective. So this is why it's important to understand the symptoms. So these symptoms may appear within 2 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. So if you got exposed, say you get exposed in the community at work, or you work in a medical profession, you got exposed and you start feeling sick. Normally you could start feeling sick. Most of the time they say it could be anywhere from 5 to 14 days, but say 2 to 14 days depending on the strength of your immune system. And you start feeling certain symptoms. As you're feeling these symptoms are going to be fever, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing. So those are the 3 first main symptoms. There's more that follows, but the first main symptoms is you having a fever. That's why normally they scan certain people, certain time when you go into certain places or work, they scan to make sure that you don't have a fever. Or you sort of cough. Sometimes it could be a productive cough. A lot of times it's a dry cough. It's not very productive, not much coming up. But you're coughing. That could tell you that you have the coronavirus. Or you're having shortness of breath or difficulty breathing. That means you have a real problem. And some of what we're going to talk about on the second half or the third half of the presentation is to deal with the breathing situation. Other symptoms include chills, tiredness, repeat shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, loss of taste or smell, diarrhea, vomiting. So everything I'm going to talk about, and also on the line or live, we're going to come in through from over there by Michigan, is Sister Joy. Sister Joy is going to be doing some hydrotherapy in a few minutes here. So everything that we're going to be talking about and doing this afternoon, the aim of it is that I'm showing you now how I would approach or how I approach any type of RNA virus, any type of influenza, coronavirus, whatever it is, any type of corona type virus. What would I do and the steps I'll take to deal with it for myself personally, for my wife, and for anybody I advise. And I'm sharing this with you because there's so many people getting ill. And why I thought this presentation was important is because what they normally do is they'll test you, and after it's proven that you have the virus, they'll send you home. And in between the period of you going home and you start having shortness of breath, it's a long period. It could be, as I say, anywhere from 5 to 14 days. In that time period, the virus is growing and it's getting more dangerous inside of you. And if you're not doing something to address the virus, what will happen? The virus will get out of control. So what you want to do is try to help the body to fight, even if you're not feeling like you're getting worse. And especially in the daytime, because most people run into trouble at night, because night's body work to fight off the virus. Because you're supposed to be resting. That's the process of how the body works. So you want to be able to fight when you're awake and fight as hard as you can. And this is what all of this discussion is going to be. So in that time period now, between you feeling like you got exposed and you started feeling the initial symptoms, it is that time period when they send you home and they basically say, we have no therapeutics to deal with this virus. This is where now natural remedies and natural help come in, where you're trying now to strengthen your immune system and to deal with the various different symptoms so they don't get out of control. And you try to do these treatments. So the 4 things that we'll be doing is I'm going to look at remedies real quick, some simple remedies that you need to have, some supplements, and then we're going to look at hydrotherapy. This is where Sister Joyce will be sharing with us some hydrotherapy and stuff, but there's some treatments. One of them is going to be hydrotherapy. And then some things to do for coughs and for other things to build up your body. So some things to do, some very different things to do. So with that said, I'm going to go straight into starting off with the remedies. So what herbal remedies I'm doing the moment I get sick. So the herbal remedies I'm doing the moment I get sick. If tomorrow you can just switch the camera view. So the herbal remedies I'm doing is first, I'm going to do tea, right? So the tea remedy I have in front of you here is, the aim of it is that I'm targeting the lungs, because the lungs is the main place that will cause a lot of people to die. Now, people are dying from renal failure, so kidney problems, liver failure, and heart failure. But one of the first things I want to do is deal with the lungs, because if you can't breathe, you're in real big trouble. And the body is going to go into sepsis. So you want to avoid it. So what I have in front of you here, and I have it on the presentation, and right here my pause also say that on covenantadvent.org, if you go to the link, one of the top links will say health topics. And right there I have the outline of everything I'm going to talk about here. And also I have on there like a remedy that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So if you go to covenantadvent.org, you'll see one of the top links, which would be health topics. And on the health topics, you'll see coronavirus, natural treatment. And there I have the outline for the presentation, some videos, and so forth. So in the videos, some of the things I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes is explained in detail. I'm not going to go back over that explanation because we don't have enough time here. So one of the things I mentioned is that you start to drink some teas. Now what teas is going to do for you is going to help you hydrate your body, and it's going to give you some natural antioxidants and natural phytochemicals that will help you to deal with your lungs. And so this tea I have here, just to tell you out of example, it has boneset, which is a herb that Native Americans use for dealing with fever. It has chamomile, which is help calming and help you be able to sleep better. It has pleurisy, which is an herb that Native Americans would use to deal with the inflammation of the pleural, which is the membrane around your lung. That is part of the problem you'll be having in coronavirus, where the whole lung area is swollen. This will help take down the inflammation, which is a major important herb. This is one of the herbs that is selling hard out there in the world. It's hard to get your hands on it right now because of so many people learning about this herb and learning how it was used by Native Americans and by American settlers. So pleurisy is in there, yarrow is in there, good for sweating, licorice. Now licorice, why I believe in having a tea with licorice. Licorice is not only sweet, so that means you don't have to use sugar to sweeten your tea, But licorice also is was one of the main herbs that the Chinese use in their traditional medicine to fight coronavirus. So this was something that I always believe in when it comes on to dealing with any type of RNA virus, licorice. And then thyme. Thyme, is, as you know, is a massive, used in a big way as an antiseptic, and it's good again for the to cleanse the body and to use in a in a viral infection. So a tea is one of the first thing I'll go to. I want to start drinking some tea, and I want tea like this. That's going to give me some phytochemicals that's going to take down the inflammation in my chest. Things that have been used historically for things like tuberculosis, the pleurisy virus, the bone, break bone fever, those type of fever, whooping cough. Those would be the main type of herbs traditionally been used to deal with it. Another thing I want to do here is pain. A pain relieving formula that has various different well-known pain relieving herbs that I won't have to go through all of it right here for you. Then an immune formula that would have things like echinacea, golden seal, garlic. Now, why I believe garlic is good for various different infections, but garlic also thin the blood. What you find with a person that's having things like with a coronavirus is that when the sacs, the alveoli gets filled with air as you do breathing, what end up happening is that oxygen is not getting into the blood because of the inflammation. Well, the two ways to approach it is to try to hydrate, which I'll talk a little bit about later on, to keep the blood at the platelets not sticking together and keep the blood flowing good. And then you want to have something that is good to hydrate the system. And as the body is hydrated, what it is, it makes the blood flow better. So how I look at it is that if you have something trying to help stop me from breathing, anything that's going to improve my breathing and my circulation, I want to go for that because I want to take the inflammation down and I want my blood to flow better so it can pick up more oxygen. So that's where an immune formula will work great. It's good for the immunity, but also it's good for to keep the system flowing. In that immune formula that, as I say, must have to have something like an echinacea golden seal. The golden seal is good to clear out the mucus so you can have more flow. The echinacea is good to stimulate the immune system. Why we want to stimulate the immune system? We don't want the immune system to overreact, but we don't want it to underreact. Because in any type of influenza or coronavirus, what's happening with the immune system is that the immune system is being suppressed and the immune system is not fighting when it's supposed to fight. So in that 5 to 14 days, that's when you want the immune system to fight. You don't want to wait until it's time to go to the emergency room. By then it might be too late. We don't want to go down that road. Another important herb is some herbs to have is an anti-inflammatory herbs. Herbs that will take down inflammation. So here you would have turmeric. So turmeric would be a major anti-inflammatory herb that will not suppress the immune system, but it will work to take inflammation down. Ginger is another important here. Devil's claw, cayenne pepper, and ginger. So ginger again in your tea. So you would take something like a tea like this, and then you add some ginger, and if you can add some astragalus if you have it, as herbs that will fight and build your immune system. So that's basically some of the major first things I want to step. First step I want to do is I want to take some herbs like these. Because what I'm doing, I'm trying to stimulate my immune system, I'm trying to keep my circulation going, and I'm trying to hydrate myself and so keep the blood flowing. So as long as my blood is flowing good, my immune system is stimulated and I'm taking down inflammation, that would be my first step in dealing with something like a coronavirus. First step. Another remedy that I want to introduce you that I've talked about before is important for me. This now is not something per se that I think about as something fully internal. You take it internally, but I don't use it internally. And this is oil of oregano, right? And we talk about it. I gave the explanation, but I give it to you a little bit again. What oil of oregano does is that oil of oregano has been proven in scientific studies or in vitro or so forth that it can remove bacteria. It can remove bacteria up to 10,000 times its potency. So if bacteria viruses is running, it will destroy it. It won't probably wipe it all out, but it will get rid of a large. It will reduce the viral load. That's the phrase I was looking for. So it will reduce the viral load, and it's been tested that it has this ability to reduce the viral load without being toxic. So an example of that is that if you have a viral load and it's running wild, or you have in a petri dish, it's been shown that this will take it down by a significant amount. Now, why is that important? Because normally, if you see people outside, they go to the store, the supermarket, wherever, they will have a mask on. That mask could just be a mask for them not to release any sputum or any droplets. But it's not necessarily will stop anything from coming inside their nose or their mouth. So they're getting viral particulates that's coming in, right? Even when you have an N95 mask, it will reduce the viral load by 95%. If it comes your way, somebody sneezes and it's in the air, you're going to breathe it in. But you might still get some stuff in your mouth, your nostril, wherever. So what something like this does is that you take a teaspoon, and you take about half a teaspoon of olive oil, sunflower oil, and you drop 4 drops of the essential oil of oregano in it to dilute it down, and you take it in your mouth and you swish it around in your mouth, you swallow it. What you're trying to do there is any kind of particulate between your mouth and your throat, you want it to be able to reduce the viral load. Because you want the less viral load is the more your body can do. So that to me is, now the question is, how do I use this? Normally, as I say, if I go out shopping and stuff like that, whether I have a mask on or not, well, the first thing I do when I come back home is that I use some oil of oregano. I just use it as a precaution. It's not something I use on a daily basis. Only way I use it probably more regular if I feel like I'm having a little sore throat. And you'll be amazed with oil of oregano. You could be feeling a little sore throat coming on. You take some oil of oregano, and you feel the sore throat goes away. In literally, it could be minutes, half an hour. Because it cuts the viral load in your throat. So that's the kind of way you use for oil oregano. So this would be now my first line of activity that I'm going to do, especially if I feel like something is coming on me or it's already confirmed that I have some type of infectious virus. I want to start dealing with my immune system, the inflammatory, my circulation, and I want to deal with anything that's probably in my throat because I don't want it to break out and start to cause an infection. Right? Is that clear? The next thing I'm going to do for the next few minutes here is I'm going to talk about, before I turn it over to St. George, I'm going to talk about some supplements. And in the previous presentation, I gave the links and the various different studies of why would you use certain supplements. So remember, everything I showed you here is things that I use either on a daily basis or I use if I start feeling very sickly. So the supplements now that I use here is the number one, because these are the primary things you must do. There's a lot of things we can do, and I'll talk about some in the end of the presentation. I'll talk about some of the other things you can do, but we're just talking about the primary things. The primary supplement I'll go for is a vitamin D, right? And vitamin D probably has been in the news a lot. I shouldn't say it's been in the news a lot. The high rates of black people dying in North America has been in the news a lot. And one of the reasons why I believe this is so is because blacks are more susceptible to being vitamin D deficient. It was studied, and they believe up to 82% of black Americans are deficient in vitamin D. And you're more deficient the more north you live above North Carolina. So anywhere, if you look at the map, you look at the 37 parallel. It's almost rare or almost nigh impossible for you to produce vitamin D if you're dark skinned north of the 37 parallel. So what you find is that blacks will have a harder time with something like influenza or coronavirus because blacks are normally deficient. Now why? As I say, on that page that I put up, you see the explanation. But the quick explanation for it is this, that vitamin D protects us immune-wise in our innate immune system and also in our active immune system. The part of the immune system that goes, learn the virus, and then kills the virus. The vitamin D acts a role in both actions. So that means if you get a virus inhaled inside of your lung, the vitamin D build up inside of your lung will protect you almost like a barrier. But also if the virus gets inside of your cell and start replicating, the vitamin D will feed the active immune system and help as a source of strength and a source of fighting power to be able to kill the RNA virus or the replication that's going on. So that's what vitamin D does. This D here, I'm telling you, is what I do take because it's a naturally sourced vitamin D. It's not a chemical synthetic vitamin D. And that's why I take it. All the vitamin D's out there, they're synthetic. So I take something personal that is not synthetic. And I'm telling you, everything I'm telling you what I do. So what I'll do is I take, like today already, I already take 10,000 international units. I'm not feeling sick. I just take that because, again, as I say, the darker your skin is, the more you're deficient. And they have even done study amongst whites in Australia and found that about 30% of whites in Australia are deficient in vitamin D. Because a lot of people go from house or building to car and from car to building. And because of that, you end up not getting enough vitamin D from the sun. So what happens there? When you take a supplement, especially, I believe that if you're, as I say, darker skin and in the northern part of the United States or anywhere in the world, what you do, you start to supplement more so on vitamin D in about October and all the way till about the end of April or so. Then you cut back, and then by the time you get full sun, you can be outside, and your arms and your face and so forth can get exposed. Then you don't have to per se worry about vitamin D deficiency. But the vitamin D is a key supplement that is needed. And if anything else, I don't know, somebody would say, if I wanted to distill it down to one important thing to do, what it would be. There's multiple things because, let's say, we come hard at disease. We're fighting disease on multiple fronts. But I would say this is one of the big ones if you're not light-skinned. And they've even showed that Hispanics, 62% of Hispanics in America are vitamin D deficient. So even though a lighter-skinned person may fare better, but unless you're like Irish or Scottish where you have pale white skin, it's going to be difficult in real dark areas of the world in winter to produce vitamin D. But a person who's very light skinned will do way better than a person who's dark skinned. So it's important to note, vitamin D, very important. This is something I take a minimum probably 5,000. 5,000 international units would be six times more than what your daily requirement. But in the summer, you're not making any. And as I say, if you're dark your skin, you don't have the protection that the sun gives. And if you remember in the past, with people having tuberculosis, what they would do, they would put them out in the sun. What they had learned from that is that the effectiveness of the UV ray for disinfectant, but also for producing vitamin D, will help them overcome tuberculosis. So here we are. We have another RNA lung virus. What do you need? You need vitamin D. So keep that in mind. Another important is vitamin C. So that's a natural vitamin C that I take. And somebody might say, well, how much I take? So with the vitamin D, I might say I take this on a normal day, minimum once a day. But I take it almost every day, 2 capsules a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at midday. I try to not take it at night because it sometimes affects my sleep and it'll give me too much energy. So vitamin D will boost your energy. That's one of the reasons you could know that you have vitamin D deficiency. You could even have depression, and it's simply because of vitamin D deficiency. You could have sinus problems, and you're not having a sinus problem. You have a vitamin D problem. And this is what vitamin D, you start taking it and you find if your sinus could improve. And it's simply, you didn't have a sinus problem, you're just deficient in vitamin D. It is amazing what a deficiency in sunlight can do for you. Well, vitamin C now, so I take this twice a day, and there's some days if I'm on a lot of pressure and I'm having a long day, I'll take 3. That's up to 15,000 international units. Again, you have to consult with your health professional. You have to take a blood test to find out how deficient you are. But I'm going to guarantee most people are dark-skinned that are north of probably North South Carolina is deficient in vitamin C. 82% they've said from research of blacks are deficient. 62% of Hispanics are deficient. So consider well that and go check it out with your doctor. Notice here vitamin C. Now again, and this is a major thing to do. If you are having any type of influenza or any type of coronavirus, any type of the corona family virus that is spreading and you catch it, one of the next big thing you have to do is think about vitamin C. Notice in the winter, we always observe nature and what God is doing in nature. In the winter again, the Lord produced massive amounts of citrus, and what citrus have is high amounts of vitamin C. So what you want to do is you want to go and you want to do the likewise. And so they have done studies where they have had people do up to 20,000 international units of vitamin C. So here, this is, I don't know even what the vitamin C content is. It's just a vitamin C formula. But if you're going to take vitamin C, you take a vitamin C they buy in the health food store. Um, you know, normally if you start getting sick, you want to do probably a minimum for the day of about 6,000 international units. If you're really going to attack it, you could be doing 1,000 per hour, and that would put you double what I just said, probably 12,000 for the day. And I've known people who've gone more. That's something you have to experiment with, because the higher amount of vitamin C you take, especially the normal one for the store, you'll find that it will cause diarrhea. This won't, but still, I will increase it. So on a normal day, I'm taking about 4 capsules a day. So a normal day, every day, 4 capsules. Today I take 4 capsules again. If I start feeling sick, I'll double that or triple it or quadruple it. And at that point, I start popping the capsules and just emptying the water and taking them. All of this I'll do that for. So vitamin C, important. This is the way you want to go. You want to hit the disease and hit it hard. So I say if you went to the health food store, bought a vitamin C, and you start feeling sick, you should be easily taking 6,000 international units. Again, you have to run that with the healthcare provider, but that's what I'll do. And or more, even 12,000, even more. Another thing is important, and as I say, the health seminar I did, and I have it embedded on that website, on the church website, under the section health topics and coronavirus. The link to the YouTube video for the health seminar will explain all of this, where I give the scientific explanation. But here I'm just running through some information. Lastly here, second to last here, of supplements is zinc. So this zinc I take here is it's just a multi-blend of various different trace mineral, but I primarily got it for zinc. Now zinc has been shown that if zinc is concentrated in the cells, in the cells of our body, that RNA replication does not take place by something like a coronavirus and other type of influenza virus. So this has been shown, as I say, the links are there in the health seminar I did a few weeks back. And so high content of zinc, this is just giving me 1 capsule a day, will give me, I think, 140-something% of the zinc that I need. So I would take this twice a day. Like today already, I take it twice. I'm not feeling sick. So this is not for if I feel like I'm getting sick. I just do this as a supplementation because I know what it does in the winter especially, when these flu-like viruses are running around. The body can fight it off if you do catch it, or it can prevent you from getting sick if you have high content of zinc in the cell. That's what the studies are bearing up. So zinc is why I take this trace mineral. And this trace mineral has zinc, and it has it, as I say, no, it has it at 100%. Then you have manganese, boron, chromium, which is good for, if you listen to my last health seminar on diabetes, good for diabetes. It has selenium, which is good for the immune system. And it's and then another herb here. So very good. And I take this at least once or twice a day. And if I was sick, I would up my dosage to double or triple, whatever I'm saying. So this is for prevention, but this is also for treatment. The higher you take it, the more it is for treatment. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. When you're taking a daily supply, especially in the winter, of vitamin D, zinc, and vitamin C, what you'll find is that your sinuses will improve if you have sinus problem. And that's going to tell you that the whole process is improved. When you breathe, like you go to the morning and breathe, you feel like your lungs is clearer. So that tells you that it works even on a normal day if you don't get sick. This has been my experience. Everything I say here is my experience that I'm sharing with you. The last thing I have to share with you is on that same webpage that I say, covenantadvent.org, and it's the health tips, and it's the natural corona treatment topic. You'll see at the bottom of the page this thing called, we call it nature's penicillin. Nature's penicillin, I give you a recipe and how to make it, will boost your citrus and your citrus bioflavonoids if you make it. So you go to your City link, you make it. If you get sick, you want to be taking a probably 2 tablespoons or so, probably every hour and hour, and this will basically start to help you fight the disease. So those would be my first major things that I want to do naturally when it comes on to the disease. The next set of things now, which is going to be my next topic. So I did the herbal remedies and I did the supplements, right? So my next part of my topic is treatments. So the type of treatments I would do to not only keep myself healthy in the winter, but also if I start getting sick, how do I treat myself and how do I try to get myself better? So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sister Joyce from Madison Heights, Michigan, who's streaming with us live. And she will be now sharing with us the presentation on hydrotherapy and how hydrotherapy is used. I'm going to say this before Sister Joyce go. The hydrotherapy is water therapy. That's what the hydro mean, hydrotherapy. And it's used to boost the immune system and to build the body up. And Sister Joyce is going to go ahead and take it away for us here. And then after Sister Joyce, I'm going to come back and I'm going to continue explaining some more things you can do to deal with this virus in your home. Sister Joyce.
Hello, and thank you, Pastor, and thank you for all my online viewers. And I just want to continue on where Pastor left off. Is that I just want to present some simple means of the right use of water and how it can be just as effective as modern medicine. Because our modern medicine today, they don't have a remedy for COVID-19, but what they have is good, and that is to stay home, practice social distancing, and wash your hands. That's the best they can do right now until they can get a vaccine. But God has always had a remedy for his people. We are his creation. And what he does have is, and I'm going to share that with you today, is hydrotherapy. And how can hydrotherapy be prophylactic or preventative? Or how can it boost your immune system? Well, I'm going to show you. And just like the pastor had just mentioned, you know, it's all about circulation, keeping the blood clean. And hydrotherapy can do that because it's all about cold and hot. You know, the cold pushes it away, the hot brings it to the surface, and it's a pushing and bringing. It's sort of like massage therapy, and that's keeping your circulation going. That's keeping that blood moving. Okay, and he showed us all the supplements that we may need and the importance of eating a more healthier lifestyle type diet. That all of this plays a role together. The social distancing, the washing of the hands, and the staying at home. This will help defeat that COVID-19 because we got to do what we have to do for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be a part of that statistic, that 10% that goes to the hospital. Because remember, that 80% is those that has not been tested, that doesn't show any symptoms or anything. And then you got that 10% that is, well, they've been tested and really um, they're just on the books. They've been sent home. So you got that line, okay? You got that line and you got that curve. It's like over the curve, like the curve bell, the bell curve. This one is over, and that over curve is that 80%. And hydrotherapy can really help the whole thing. The 10%, the 80%, and the 10% that's even in the hospital. You know, with the with the moving of the water, the hot and the cold. So now that's what I'm going to present to you. But let me just say a few things before we get into um, the actual illustration of how to um, conduct or do hydrotherapy. Remember this number: 243, 243 years. Back in 1866, a world renowned health resort here in Battle Creek. That's what we had. We had a health resort center here in Battle Creek, world renowned. And it began, or it was established in 1866. And it was advocated by Seventh day Adventists. Now, 1866, 243, I was telling you, just remember that number. America is only 243 years old. That they're very. This country is very young. And here we are. We had a a health resort center back in 1866, historically. Now, we also had a doctor by the name of John Harvey Kellogg in 1876 through 1943. What he done was he managed the Battle Creek Sanitarium. He managed it, and he's also known for Kellogg's cornflakes. But while he was managing it, he perfected hydrotherapy. People came from all over the world to get healed through hydrotherapy. So hydrotherapy is nothing new to this country, to a lot of people, especially to Seventh Day Adventists. It's nothing new. Now, one other thing that I want to bring to your attention, because I'm just going to take just a few minutes, just sharing some things that I found to be so important about boosting your immune system. If you were listening closely to the pastor, he mentioned the innate system and adaptive the adaptive system. Okay, these are two of your immune system, and actually, the innate system is the one that we were born with. And you might have heard people say, if you were a breastfed baby, you got the cholesterol from your mother, and your immune system is pretty strong. But now you have this adaptive system, which, if you've ever been inoculated or had vaccine or been vaccinated, well, that adaptive system is the one that remembers. Okay. So it remembers all those vaccines, which which I haven't done a lot of studies on it, but I've read some articles, and they didn't say that they were actually studies, but they said that a lot of those inoculations of vaccine had a lot of viruses in it, to keep you from regaining chickenpox and measles or mumps and things of that nature. Okay. So this 80% that they say are people who possibly um, have not been tested positive for coronavirus, that may still have it. In fact, they're saying now that they all have it. And how could they make such a statement? And I believe that they can make that statement because they put it in you as a young child. So we all have been infected, not only with inoculations and viruses, but we've all been affected with sin. And there is a remedy for it. God has a remedy for sin, and He certainly has a remedy for these pestilences, especially this COVID-19. Okay, so with all that being said, I have Bible texts that I usually read when it comes to dealing with water hydrotherapy. Psalms 51:7, 2 Kings 5:14, Psalms 104:14. I just love them. And I use two books, uh, not they're compilations. And one is the Medical Missionary Manual, and another one is the Broken Blueprint. I mean, very historical, very educational, very uh, medical missionary minded. If you read those books, you will understand that historically and pioneers, uh, this hydrotherapy treatment is what we need. Healthy living is what we need. Supplementing, we need all that to keep this immune system that we have strong enough to defeat this pestilence, this COVID-19. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to introduce you to my mannequin friend. This is the one that we're going to use to show you just a few illustrations on how to do hydrotherapy treatment. Okay. And the first thing you want to do is make sure that the room is nice and warm and that you have all the equipment, towels, basins, everything that you need when you're working on a person. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to do a treatment called maybe uh, a heating compress, because this COVID-19, heat is its enemy. Okay, so what we want to do, if you're working with a person, say this person is invalid, it's in bed, it just can't move, maybe it has contracted it, say the person contracted, and you're working with them. Of course, you're going to be geared, and we're going to make sure that this person, their mouth is covered, okay? And the things that we're going to work on, what we want to do is to increase heat to their body. And we're going to make sure that they're covered. This is just heat compressing. They're already they're already chilled, so you want to make sure that they're covered warmly, okay? And in any case, if you feel that their body is chilly or chilled, what you want to do is make sure that their feet is placed in a basin of warm water. Okay. So here we'll have their feet in the basin, warm water. Okay. We got the feet covered. All right. And then the next thing we want to do is make sure that their neck is covered. And what do you want to do first? If they're chill, you want to make sure you put the warm towel around the neck. Okay. The feet is in the water. And all we're doing with this one is just increasing the warmth in their body, a heat compressor. Not a fever. I'm gonna do that for you next, but just warming the body up. Okay. So you got the neck covered, which is your throat, because usually if you have COVID-19, the symptoms that you're going to be experiencing is what? A sore throat, a cough, and a fever. And we still see a fever is your friend, but here we're not dealing with that right now. All we're dealing with is bringing warmth to this person. Okay, just bringing warmth. And they seem to be having symptoms, but it's not really it's not confirmed that they have the COVID-19 yet. But we want to just bring warmth, keep their body warm, because warmth is COVID-19's enemy. Okay. And we don't want, okay, so we got their mouth covered. And then we don't want to take the temperature or anything, but you will be talking to the person, asking them how they feel. They start to feel fine. Then what we would do, we would take them, we would uncover them. Just say we'll do it for maybe half hour, 45 minutes. So that's that for that. And that's just bringing the temperature up, just making them warm, just making them warm a little bit, because their temperature, a person who seemed to be feeling weak, look like they having the symptoms, eh, we'll just bring some heat to their body. Okay? Okay. That's just a simple hydrotherapy. Okay. Then we'll give them some water. Just give them a little drink of water. Now, this is another treatment. This is bringing a fever up. You want to bring a fever up in a person, um, let's just say it's for preventative right now, but it can definitely be used for COVID-19 because everything that I'm showing you is going to uh, uh, strengthen your immune system. So right now we're going to put their feet again. We'll take say we took their feet out. Okay. Now we're going to put their feet back in the water by the heel, making sure that your hand is touching the water, so making sure it's not too warm, okay, or too hot. Okay, there. The feet is in the water. We want to take their we want to take their temperature. We have a thermometer. Okay, put that in their mouth. Everything's covered. Okay, chest. We want to make sure that the chest is covered doubly because increase we want to increase their temperature. So we're going to cover the chest. Okay, we're going to cover the throat. There we are. Now we're going to look at the thermometer. Okay, let's just say it's 99.9. We want to get it up to 103. Yeah. Okay. Put the temperature back in. We take a cold compress or a cold face cloth or towel, put it on the head, keep the temperature or keep their head cool. Now we want to take the temperature again. Okay. We got temperature of 103. Okay, that's just where we want it. Now we want to bring it down. We'll take some water, take the water. I don't have my water container. We'll pour the water over the feet, making sure the feet has large pores underneath. We're trying to bring the temperature down now. We pour the water over the bottom of the feet. We'll take the compress off the head, put it in a bucket of ice water again, put it back on their head because we're trying to bring the temperature down now. Okay? Okay, we'll wait just a few minutes. We'll take the temperature once again. Or we'll put the thermometer in the mouth once again. We'll take the feet, pour more water, cold water over the bottom of the feet. Okay, put it back in the water is cooling. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this wet hand towel off, take a dry towel, put it over the chest because we're trying to bring that temperature down now. Making sure the arms is covered. Take the compress off the head, put it in the bucket of ice cold water, put it back on the head. Okay, so we got our temperature down to 98.7. Very good temperature. All right. So now what we're going to do, Anything that's wet, we take the wet off and put dry, everything dry on them. Dry. Want to dry the feet. Take the wet one, cloth around the neck. We want to get us a dry one. Make sure it's dry. And we're going to put the face cloth in the cold compress once more. And we don't call our guests patients. They're just our guests. And we'll let them lay there with all the dry on until they feel comfortable. Give them about 30 minutes. And then we'll still, go and check to make sure the temperature stays down. We'll check the temperature once more. Temperature is steady. Okay. So this is the way that uh, heating, a heating compress, and also taking a fever up and bringing it down. And I just lost power. Okay. So I just want to thank you for being here and seeing the simple means of the right use of water and how it can be just as effective as modern medicine. And I don't know if you can hear me or not, but there are some other ways that uh, you can bring your temperature up, and that's through saunas, wet saunas or dry sauna. And what that would do, that would create circulation. It can reduce high blood pressure. It can remove toxins. And because I use dry saunas a lot. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Am I being heard, Pastor?
Uh, yes, Sister Joyce, we can still hear you. It's just probably have
Oh,
to step forward and come closer to the thing
okay.
so we can hear.
Yes.
But you're
I
very
just want to
low.
give my experience about the dry saunas. If you have access to a sauna, that's another way of using hydrotherapy, either dry sauna or a wet sauna. I use dry saunas a lot. When I go out, I usually put my gloves and my mask on, and I take my supplements every day. The ones that the pastor mentioned, those are the ones that I take. I take my herbs, I take my ABCDE, and you know, I just I do it faithfully. And when I've been out in contact, when I come home, I take my clothes off, I shower up and I go and I get in my sauna. And I'm in there for about half hour. And I found that to keep me very strong, my immune system. I don't feel lethargic or anything. I just feel thankful. And I just want to share a lot of what I know with others. And this is just the tip of the things that God has shown me over the years um, through going to medical missionary school, uh, being under the teachings of some of the pioneers of of this message. So I just want to thank you for hearing me, and maybe we
Sister,
can, yes.
you're coming over. I turn the volume up on you more, so if you need to go just a little bit longer, you can. So go ahead though, if you need to. If you need to turn back over to me, I'm ready to go.
Oh, okay. But I just want to say this, that hydrotherapy is truly prophylatic. It's very preventative, and it will boost your immune system. Like I said, we've all been infected with this virus one way or another. Either through inoculation or in contact with others, or through whatever other means. Okay, maybe somebody sneezing or someone coughing on you. But nevertheless, if you practice and you do it every day, but you may not do it in the form of a regimen. When you take a bath, In that warm water, you're really bringing circulation to your body because the water is the most fluid, or I should say, the second abundant fluid in our bodies besides blood. And when we immerse ourselves in a tub of warm water, that is very therapeutic for the whole body, for the neck, the throat, the abdominal area, your joints. Is You need it. Even showers are very good too. Now, once you've taken a shower, you got to do hot and cold. When you're showering yourself in that nice warm shower, make sure just turn it down on cold. If you can't do it all at once, just gradually turn it down. Because eventually your body will reach the capacity where it can handle that cold. Because I remember when I first started doing hot and cold, I couldn't stand. Oh my goodness, it was just, to get that cold water on me, you just kind of scream. But let me tell you, it builds those white blood cells up. It builds those fighter cells. And your body, once it gets acclimated to that hot and cold, it looks forward to it. It looks forward to it. So when you're taking a shower, try to do hot and cold, gradually decreasing the hot into cold. And I just want to say, while we were doing the heat compressing, because the chest is where you really want to address, for preventative, for prophylactic reasons, because you don't want to get pneumonia. Anytime you start to feel like your chest is tightening, or you feel you cough, you feel a cough, it could be early stages of influenza. So you really want to start to uh, attack any signs or symptoms. Throat, chest, and abdominal. Pay attention to it. If your throat starts to feel a little scratchy, get some oil of oregano. Put a little bit in your mouth, gargle your throat. And one thing the pastor did say about it, it's more like a throat cleanser. You see? And if you hold your head really further back, can really get a thing that's trying to get down into the lung area, it will it'll cut it off. It will cut it off. So pay attention to your throat and your chest, and abdominal area too, because that's where most of your immune is. So the abdominal area, a lot of times we have that slow digestion, or maybe constipation. You want to, hot. Anytime you feel like you're constipated, just put maybe a hot, a type of a hot. Okay. So again, if there is any complications you feel in your body, whether your arms or your muscles are feeling tight, you know, if you haven't been doing some type of CrossFit or weight training, pay attention to your body. Just don't let things just go. But don't be a fanatic. Every little, ache, it could be a virus. No. You know when your body starts to feel abnormal. Okay. So I just want to say there's more that I would like to share with you, but I think you'll see my face a little bit more often. All right. So I just want to thank you for your ears and for your time, and for just being here. Lets me know that you are paying attention to your body, and that you do not want that little pestilence. It's not a little pestilence, but you don't want that COVID-19 to set anywhere near you, because that thing is ugly. It's terrifying. It takes lives. And God came that he might give us life and give it to us more abundantly. So I just want to thank you for your time,
in your ears. So God bless you.
All right, thanks, Sister Joyce, again for that presentation. And just stick around for the end when we do some question and answer for anybody who wants to have some more explanation on some hydrotherapy. And as I say, we'll be doing more seminars with Sister Joyce coming into the month of May and June. So what we're about to do now is I want to talk about more treatments. So Sister Joyce did hydrotherapy. One thing I want to remind you, there's always different options on the fly. What Sister Joyce was displaying there is if you get sick or if you just need some type of deep hydrotherapy where you get a good treatment, that would be a very good process to watch the video again, follow, and if there's something you miss in her presentation or you didn't properly understand, stick around for the end of the presentation where we'll do some question and answer just in case you have some questions to ask, because this is some of the things that you want to do to target a breathing problem like what will happen in an influenza. So the next thing I want to talk about before I go to the breathing part especially is that one of the hydrotherapy that I do practice on a regular basis, sometime weekly, sometime bi-weekly, is what Sister Joyce had mentioned, which is the shower, where you take a shower and at the end of the shower for about 3 minutes, you keep the water on you as hot as you can take it without burning yourself. This is for adults, not for children. So you take the water as hot as you can and you shower in that water. And for about 3 minutes. And then after about 3 minutes, you go to an alternation of 30 seconds to a minute. Depends on how much you can take. For about 30 minutes, 30 seconds, sorry, or up to a minute of as cold as you can take it. And as I say, I'll give some clarification in a second. You do that either one cycle or two cycle. I prefer to end on a cold. So about 30 minutes to a minute of cold. And what that does, it stimulates the immune system to go into a fight mode. And what you do is that you shower your whole body in hot as you can, and then just before you finish your shower, you go for about 30 seconds to a minute and make the water hit all parts of your body, cold as you can take it, while rubbing your skin. And what that does, you're trying to get the white blood cell and the whole blood system to come to the surface. If you have sinus problem or you have stuffiness, you'll find that when you do this, you can feel the blood just rushing from your head, and it will clear up your sinus for probably a few minutes to probably a half an hour or so. And what it does is stimulate your immune system. Now, why would you want to stimulate your immune system? And you could do that for a cycle of 2. So you could go hot again and then hit your body again with cold. Now, one disclaimer I have to make with that. If you have any type of circulatory problem, heart problem, similar type of problem like that, you do not go as hard as possible. You go a little bit cooler than lukewarm. So just a few degrees above lukewarm, and you keep working your way up until your body can get stronger. And if you have a heart problem, you almost never do it as extreme. You just go above lukewarm, where you get the stimulation of your immune system without over-stimulating. Now, why we do hydrotherapy? Why we do hydrocold, as Sister Joyce says? Well, what happened is that between that 2-day to 14-day, when the virus is already in the system, they found that the immune system is not active, and it seemed that the virus suppresses the immune system and make it not act. When now it's finally start to act, the immune system overreact, and what they call a cytokine storm. And so the immune system start to fight, and it goes real hard. And by the time it goes real hard, the virus already, for the most part, for a lot of people, win the race. So you don't want to get to that point. What you want to do is, especially if you have a confirmation or you have a suspicion that you're sick, and you don't know, is it flu, is it coronavirus, any of those type of viruses, what you want to do is, you want to probably up that up to a daily basis where you do a hydrotherapy, like what she said. If you have a setup like that, or if you have a shower, you're married or something, or somebody can help you, you do the hydrotherapy, you do the full process at least once a day. And I'll ask you, Joyce, how often would you do that if you start feeling sick? Now, for me, as I say, even this week and last week, I'm not feeling sick, but I still do the hot and cold at least once, twice a week, where I stimulate my immune system. Why do you do that? You're telling your immune system fight as if you're under attack, because this virus tricked the immune system to not fight. And you don't want to just sit there and wait until the virus won the battle, because the virus is playing a game of a cat and mouse game. And so what you want to do, you want to keep stimulating the stimulate the immune system, take the herbs and so forth. So one of the things I believe in doing is a breathing treatment. And a breathing treatment I do because what it is, I want to get some essential oils and the effervescence of the essential oil, the steam from this with the steam with essential oil into my lungs to take down the inflammation and to calm the lungs down. So one of the things I do, and Sister Tamara is going to come out, well, don't come just right now tomorrow. One of the things I do to give myself a lung treatment. This is a product that I use almost all the time. I guess you could come right now tomorrow. You made the switch already? If you don't make the switch, we'll just keep talking. So one of the things I do, I use this thing called albus oil. This is an albus inhaler. The inhaler, this albus inhaler has certain essential oils that are good to take down inflammation in your air passage, in your lungs and so forth. So you take it in your nose, you inhale it, and it will take the inflammation down. So when I say I use this, this is a product that I have on me all the time, 7 days a week, when and it's always at my bedside. Literally, I use it on a daily basis because I have sinus problem. So I always have an albus on me. And if you've ever watched me in the past doing preaching or stuff like that, there's been weird time when I'm doing a Bible study and I'm so used to using the albus that I'll be unconsciously not thinking, take it out my pocket and literally stuff it in my nose and take a breather. What am I inhaling? And when I inhale that, it feels like I'm outdoor taking a breath of fresh air. It just makes my lungs feel good. It opens my lung up. Now, albus oil as main ingredient is menthol, oil of peppermint, cajeput, and eucalyptus. And what those trees does, the essence from those trees, is that they act as a anti-inflammatory, act as a opening of the lungs, and it's very curative, I believe. So I use it on a regular basis. Another way to get this essential oil into your lung is by doing a breathing treatment, which now Tamar now is going to come forward and just mind we do the switch here, but she's going to come forward and try to take over the equipment, and she's going to display what this breathing treatment is. And basically what it is that you're inhaling, you're taking hot water, boiling water, and this can't be done with children, but you're taking boiling water and you're putting essential oils drops in the top of the boiling water. And as the steam comes up, you get to breathe into your lungs, which is where the major problem is. One of the major problems of coronavirus, you breathe into your lungs the steam, and then this will help relieve the congestion and the tightness of your lungs. So everything we're trying to do is to make the tightness of the lungs, this so forth, don't happen. So this is a breathing treatment. It's good. So you set up and then I switch the camera. You can come forward. Come forward. And as Tamara is going to be doing this breathing treatment, this is a treatment that Tamara literally does. So when I get sick, I go for my albus, right? I guess I'm just being, I don't know, lazy. But Tamara will do the breathing treatment. And you see that's the steam coming up. And Tamara is going to display for you the breathing treatment. I'm just going to switch the camera here. Okay, I'm going to give you the mic. I just have to. You're going to see. Oh, the handheld mic. Okay, great. Handheld mic.
Good afternoon, happy Sabbath. So, like Pastor was saying, he relies on the albus. I do have an albus in my handbag, by the way. I just use mine on the DL. But if I'm really not feeling well, or especially if I'm having a cough, I'll boil water, and then there are a few different types of essential oils I like to use. I definitely will always use tea tree oil because tea tree is a disinfectant. Eucalyptus, that's very good for your lungs and for opening up your chest. I'll also use this oil called cajeput. This is also very good for your pulmonary system. And then if I don't have, I'll also use peppermint oil. I don't see it here, but I'll use that. And then I'll also use this therapeutic inhalant oil. Now, this is a mix of different oils. Like if I run out of this particular oil mix has eucalyptus, peppermint, cajeput, fir, myrtle, Ravensara, tea tree, and clove. If I run out of this, then I'll definitely use these three oils. So I'll take my hot water and I'll put in Put in a few drops of each. And then, oh, I smell it too in my eyes. Oh, and one other tip for those of you who wear glasses, take your glasses off because they'll get fogged up. And then I'll just take a towel, I'll put over my head and over the pot, and then I'll just inhale.
And this works amazing when it comes on to opening up your lungs, opening up your, almost drop the mic in the pot. Well, open up your lungs for mighty goodness steam treatment.
You might want to close your eyes also because you'll feel the essential oils in your eyes. But um, if you have like a hot plate or something, you could put that under the pot to keep keep the water boiling. But just keep in mind, if you do that, you don't want your face too close because you don't want to burn yourself with the steam either. You just want to be able to inhale it. But you don't have to keep it boiling underneath. You can just simply boil it. And then you just keep the towel over and inhale. This is also a quick way to get a steam treatment for your skin. So you kill two birds with one stone. You fix your cough and you get pretty skin. And then you just do this for 15, 20 minutes or as long as your hot water lasts. And then you're finished. So now I'll turn it back over to Pastor.
Right, so what we're doing here, we're showing um, different ways to deal with the same disease. And you're working on multiple fronts. So instead of saying we have no therapeutics, we have a lot of therapeutics to work on. So the breathing treatment is one of the ways, as I say, it's either with the essential oil with hot steaming water, as some are saying, and then, or something like the albus, and you inhale it, and you feel the expansion of your lung. I remember Brother Green wasn't feeling too well, or was feeling sick a month or two ago, and he says one of the things that really helped him was, I think it was the eucalyptus essential oil. He will um, drip some of it into his handkerchief, and then he would breathe right into, breathe in the eucalyptus oil. And what it does, it gives a relief to his lungs as he was fighting whatever he was fighting. So the eucalyptus oil, tea tree oil, Cajun fruit, peppermint, very important. Now another thing that is important to me is doing deep breathing exercise. So one of the things that they've been teaching different people, and you can go online and look at their different. Hmm? Okay, 1 second. Hold it for me. Mic test. Okay, sorry for that with the audio. I do apologize. So one of the things I will do right with is the essential oil that's part for the audio problem there to get the breathing going, and then also for inhaling the cage put or inhaling the Verse Defend essential oil to start to open up the situation. One of the things that Brother Gein had shared with me, and if I'd said this or you got this earlier, is that what he would do when he was feeling the tightness in his chest and he was having a problem with dry coughs, that he would get into his handkerchief, he would drip some of the eucalyptus oil and then inhale the eucalyptus oil. And as he inhale the oil, it will calm his chest down or his lungs down. So important to consider. Another important thing is to do deep breathing exercise. Go online, look at the various different methods of deep breathing exercise, because often we breathe very shallow and we don't take deep breaths and hold it and make the lungs get to get all the pressure that we can push upon it and get the air deep into the alveoli that we can get into our bloodstream. Another important thing that one need to consider is that one of the things that I do is a sauna. Now, people probably be see here, you probably wonder what this is, and hopefully you know what this is. This is a sauna, and this sauna here, probably if you can swing around the camera just a little bit towards me here tomorrow. So this sauna here is one of the things that I bought a few years ago, and I use this as almost exclusive, most naturally, in the winter. Now, why do I use this in the winter? Again, because it's cold outside, it's snowing, right? So it's cold and it's snowing outside, and I want to be able to have a full sweat and to get the toxins out. And I want to be able to get the stimulation of the heat, because they've shown that when you have a stimulation of the heat, then you can get good results. So with a sauna, what a sauna does is that the sauna basically takes your temperature up and duplicate a fever, and then it also make you sweat. And I'm gonna tell you, this is a far infrared sauna that it's only a few $100s, but it's really worth its weight in gold when it comes on to winter, because what it does is that you can take it up to a temperature that will make you sweat within 10 to 15 minutes or so, and then probably for another 10 to 20 minutes or so, you can just sit there and you can get the results sweating wise of a rigorous workout. Most naturally, all these things you always have to consider if you have high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, diabetes, stuff like that. You have to consider well what you're doing and be careful of bringing the temperature too much. But I use this, and I use this. This is more like a personal sauna because it's made out of fabric. This is something that China makes by the boatload, literally, I believe. So what it is I have, it comes basically, you get a chair, like a little stool, right? This is important, right? Especially if you need a quick way to sweat and release toxin. Somebody just swing the camera around a little bit towards me, if you don't mind. Remember? No? So anyhow, if you have a way, and it's a top camera, sorry. So if you have a way, right, of getting in the winter some sweating, this is one of the best way to do it. So what it is, I normally get a towel. Now the towel is for two important reasons. Number one, normally I get two towels. I get an old towel and I get a new towel. The new towel I sit on the stool, because the stool is hard and I don't have a lot of cushion. Number two, I get a towel and I put it on the stool, because the amount of sweating you're gonna do, you're gonna wet the floor of the sauna. And then what I do, I go in there, and when I put my foot down, there's a feed pad that's for heat. It'll heat your foot up. And you sit in there basically, and you zip it up, and your hands can come out just in case you need to read something for half an hour. Your hands can come out, and it'll zip up and lock around your neck. Sometimes I get also a towel around my neck, so that when I'm sweating, it does not, I don't wet the sauna, because as I say, it's not made from wood. Some people have wood. And then this keep my head out. Now, why do I like this? And as I say, if you're having type of high blood pressure, anything like that, it's best to have a sauna like this, right? Because tomorrow is going to actually zip me up. So it's best to have a sauna like this, because what it is, your neck, above your neck can be outside, so you can get the ambient temperature. And when you get the ambient temperature, what will happen when you have the ambient temperature, that you'll get hot, or you have the controls in your hand. Thanks. You have the controls. You have the controls in your hand, so you can set the temperature to what you want to and the timer to where you want to. Now, what are you doing here? You're creating a fever. As you create this fever, what will happen is that you're duplicating what the body will naturally do to kill off viruses and to fight pathogens. And also, you're going to sweat, and you're going to release a lot of minerals, a lot of toxin. You're going to just get a flush. And I always say, when you sweat, I say you need to go in here with at least minimum 2 towels. That's how much sweating you will do in a sauna like this. But yet your head can still keep cool. And as Sister Joyce talked about, if necessary, you have next to you like a cold towel to cool your head down so your head don't get too cold. So this is a quick way to get a massive amount of sweat going on, and you can set the temperature to where you want to according to the directions, and you can do your sweating, and you can get your toxin. As I say, I use this almost exclusively only in the winter, because in the winter, you don't get as much exercise, you get as much way to release toxin. Now, again, why is some of this information important? I'm good. So why is some of this information important? I'm going to tell you why. One of the countries that everybody been watching is Finland, right? So Finland has been on the radar for everyone because Finland as a country, the Finnish people are the number one users of saunas and the number one users of this hot and cold therapy. And among all the other European countries, they have the lowest death rate because I think 96 or 94% of all Finnish people on a regular basis, I think probably once a week or once a month, do saunas, hot and cold therapy, some type of hydrotherapy they use, and they find that their immune system is much stronger, especially in the winter. So one of the things that we do, especially in northern climes, is we use something like a sauna. As I say, you cannot imagine, the first time you use it, you'll be amazed at the amount of sweat you can put out. Within 10 to 15 minutes, you start sweating, the sweat will just drip off you, and will just purge your system. And when you use the sauna now, why have this salt here? Yeah, okay, you might be wondering, why do I have some sea salt? But what the sea salt is there for, right? Is that what you're looking for? Oh, it's right here. So what the sea salt is there, because we still come to the question and answer. What I have the sea salt for is that I want to be able to put some minerals back in, because when you're sweating, you're losing lots of minerals. So I want to be able to cook soups. I want to be able to drink, even sometimes put some salt in the water to rehydrate, not only to rehydrate my system, but to use it almost like you use Gatorade, where you're putting back electrolytes in your body. And the salts will have a lot of minerals, trace minerals, and so forth. So I use salt. So you do the hydrotherapy, you're going to bed, you still feel a bit stuff up. I believe in this old world, product, which is basically Vicks Vapor Rub. It's a Vicks product, Vapor Rub, right? What it do? You use the Vicks and you rub it down in your chest. So you're going all out here. So you do the hot and cold, you do the hydrotherapy, you do the hot shower, and you take your supplements that I covered earlier. You drink your tea, you make sure you have your salts, you have your electrolytes in, and you do your steam treatment. You get the Vicks, you have it to your bedside, you have it in your pocket like me. I walk with it all the time. This thing is always with me. I don't leave home to go to the supermarket without it. And this is normal. 365 days a year. I'm always taking care of that stuff. So you do all of that, right? And all of a sudden now you're ready to go to bed. You take something like a Vicks or any product. There's various different companies make this type of product, and you rub your chest, you rub your throat down, you rub up underneath your nose, you wrap up real nice, you go to bed, and you're praying and hoping that through the night your fever will go up, but not your lung problem. Your lung will stay calm because you've treated your lungs, and your fever will go up, and you start sweating. So you gotta sweat already from the sauna, from the shower, from whatever. But you want to sweat now as you sweat. Have you ever experienced this where you sweat like crazy till you feel like your whole clothing is wet, the bed is wet, and when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you break the fever, you overcome the cold, because that's what sweating is doing. So what we're doing with hydrotherapy, what we're doing in the sauna with the hot and cold, we're trying to duplicate what nature does without getting the out of control. We take the herbs and the supplements to make sure the immune system don't go out of control, because many of these herbs will modulate the immune system. And we do that. And as a backup, I always have a liver cleanse and a kidney cleanse, because I know when you deal with these diseases, your liver is going to be under pressure, your kidney is going to be under pressure, and you always flush. A few more thoughts before we go to some questions. A few more things that I want to cover. So one of the things that I believe in is cough drops or cough syrup. Here's an example of, to me, a brilliant cough syrup with 2 ingredients. This is amazing, right? Not very sugary, low in sugar. This cough syrup is, I think it's made by Quantum Health. It's brilliant. Why? Because it has 2 ingredients that are key. Remember I was telling you earlier that zinc is key, because zinc stops the replication of the of RNA viruses, and it's been proven in the past for various different other type of coronavirus, and I'm sure they're studying it now for the COVID-19. What zinc does, it gets into the cell and make the virus does not have the ability to replicate. So what is this lozenge? It's basically three key ingredients. It's sugar, which is obvious, but it's very mild sugar. It's very bland. So you don't take it for the sweetness. What you're taking it for is has zinc and elderberry. So zinc is important to get in the system, but what it is that elderberry has been proven to be a zinc concentrator in the system, what they call the ionophore. An ionophore is a substance that concentrates another substance in the cell. And what zinc does is that it is important to build up in the cell, but how to get it faster and higher content in the cell is to have an ionophore. So what this company did, which is to me makes sense, is to have a simple cough syrup with basically zinc and elderberry. Elderberry has this substance called quercetin. Quercetin has been proven as a supplement or in products like elderberry or onion or apple that when you take it with zinc, what it is, the ionophore, which is a elderberry that has quercetin, one of the chemicals in elderberry in high content, it will concentrate zinc into the cell. So that's why you could feel a sore throat. Take a lozenge like that, and you will start to feel that sore throat is going away. And somebody says it's a miracle. It's not really a miracle. What it is the high content of zinc and then the other active constituency of elderberry plus the quercetin that's in the elderberry that will make it that a virus does not replicate in your throat and give you a sore throat. What you want to do there, I always tell people when you're getting sick, you want to do so many other things, but you want to stop sore throat because you don't want the virus to basically multiply where you breathe. Because if it's multiplying here, it might be highly multiplied in your lung. So you want to start fighting it here first. All right, makes sense. So one of the things you want to do, you want to keep hydrated, as I said earlier. Just some last points here. So you keep the blood flowing. You keep hydrated. You make sure that your circulation is working. You take some ginger and some cayenne and other things to keep the blood flowing because you don't want the blood to get sticky because that's going to give you more difficulty with breathing. Also, you have an ear purifier. Now, I don't know if the camera can pick up, but this is an ear purifier that I have right here that I bought when I first started here. I bought this in January 14th. Now, why I bought this in January 14th is I got it delivered in January 14th. I started looking at buying this at the beginning of the year towards the end of the year because I realized that there was something wrong because people are getting sick and people I know personally were getting sick and they were getting sick from what they say was the flu at first and it was causing pneumonia. And I thought that was weird because for all my years in life, I didn't know that there was a flu that would cause such widespread pneumonia. I was hearing personal stories from people I know. And I said to myself, one of the big things I must do is I need an air filter to sleep with because I want the purest air. Because normally in the winter we're like indoors and I need a filter. Now I have a filter at home that is very good, but it's a filter that is running on AC current. So I was looking for a filter that can do what it can do, but plus it's very quiet. Now this filter here is running, and this is I run it at this level in the house, and you cannot hear it. You will hear actually the filter. There's a filter behind me because in this church we always have a filter running because I always believe in having filters to kill whatever is in the air. But this filter is running, and you can't hear it because it's running on DC current. And I've advised many people to buy this because what it is, you can sleep it in your bedroom and not hear it. You'll never hear it running because it's so quiet. So it is basically HEPA filter, charcoal, ultraviolet light, and ionizer. It sends out electrical parts in sparks in the air that will grab any type of particulate and drop it to the floor. Right? So that's what you want. So you sleep with something like this, and notice here, it's very quiet. You can't hear it. I have the mic in the filter, and you cannot hear it. This is amazing how quiet it is because it's running on DC current. It's a DC mode. It's very quiet. It's very silent. But when I put my head down, I can feel the breeze blowing in my ear, in my face, and it's very clear. Now, why do I do that? Because, as I say, we lock indoor, and we have we might have something circulating, but there's no fresh air. So you create your own fresh air because what is this? This is basically the leaves filter. But in the winter, there's no leaves outside. But the leaves is filtered. We have the charcoal, which will catch particulate and poisons and toxins. Then we have the UV, which is similar to duplicate the the air outside. And then we have the ionizer, which is like a lightning spark. It will smell fresh air when lightning strike. Well, that's what these filters does nowadays. It takes these elements And some of the older filters would have ozone, but California banned ozone from being in filters. So the filters nowadays don't come with ozone because of California. The older filter still have ozone, and ozone is marvelous when it comes on to disinfectant. You will put it somewhere and it will kill all scent, germs, everything. So I do this so that when I'm laying down at night and I'm sleeping, I'm getting a breathing treatment. And I believe this is very important. So whatever is going on, I'm inhaling the freshest air in my bedroom, because this is in my bedroom to keep my bedroom air circulating fresh. And it doesn't matter, even if I always sleep with a cracked window. So that's another thing that we do that I always encourage you. When you're going through the window, it's going to cost you a little bit. When you're going through the winter, it's going to cost you more money to have a cracked window. When I say cracked, I mean a small crack in the window. So fresh air always come from outside. So I always do this. All these many decades, I always sleep with a cracked window. But although I sleep with a cracked window, I have a filter that filters the air. And this year I decided to buy a brand new one. And why? Because I heard about this pneumonia virus that started sometime last year. At that point, I didn't know it was coronavirus because I was hearing about coronavirus in China. But I said, whatever is floating around, I want to be prepared for it. And I started getting my preparation. I remember going on Amazon and I bought this in January, and I got it delivered by January 14th. So that's one of the things you want to do. Get an air purifier, sleep in a cracked window. Use like soups. Use, so instead of eating heavy food, you start to go to soups for various different reasons I've covered in the previous health presentation. You want to get as much sleep as you possibly can, because when you sleep, your body repair. So you want to get as much repair in. So you feed your bones up, and you supplement your herbs, your remedies, and then you get a good sleep as you rub up yourself with some Vicks. You relieve constipation. So you make sure you're not constipated, because you want to relieve the body of all the toxin. So you're using something like a hot and cold sauna, any type of bowel formulas like that have senna, cascar, sagrada, to relieve the constipation. And then you do a hygienic diet, as clean you can. Fruits, vegetables, clean, hygienic, plant-based, 100% plant-based vegan food to free the system so that you can get the healing you need. So just in case probably I missed something, but there's more I could say. But as I say, we did this video, we're going to do some future video. So before I read my last reading here, next week, as probably I said before, I'll be talking about coronary artery diseases, high blood pressure, that type of thing. So next week at 5 o'clock, join us here, because as you know, the comorbidities, we're going to be dealing with the comorbidities and the disease straight through. So next, we did with diabetes last week. This week we're dealing with some of the practical things. Next week we're going to talk about just a health seminar on coronary artery problem, high blood pressure, because that's one of the things that's causing a lot of people to die. And then we'll deal with some of the other problems that comes along with these diseases that are comorbidity. So I want to read for you encouragement before I go to question and answer. Those who seek healing by prayer should not neglect to make use of remedial agencies within their reach. It is not a denial of faith to use such remedies as God has provided to alleviate pain and to aid nature in our work of restoration. It is no denial of faith to cooperate with God and to place themselves in the condition most favorable for recovery. God has put it in our power to obtain a knowledge of the laws of life. This knowledge has been placed within our reach, and it is for us. We should employ every facility for the restoration of health, taking every advantage possible, working in harmony with nature's laws. When we have prayed for the recovery of the sick, we can work with all the more energy. Thanking God, we have the privilege of cooperating with Him, asking His blessing on the means which He Himself has provided. So remember, all these things that we talk about, even if you can't have all of them, have some of them. And what you do is that you practice these things that we talked about so far, we'll be talking about in the upcoming weeks. You avail yourself of the means that is already there for the recovery of disease. You avail yourself of these things. You take these things that are there, that God put there for you. These principles are in nature. Like when I talk about the filter, look, that's nature. If you think about the air, that's what the air is. the filter system for the trees. When somebody live in a city, there's no filter system for the trees. The trees are, for the most part, killed and destroyed. So you say, okay, what would God have me do? They have done studies and show that when people be out in nature, that their immune system is stimulated when they walk among trees. When they're in the city, the immune system get depressed because of all the miasma and all the toxins floating in the air. So what you want to do is you want to look at what nature does, look how the body works. When you get sick, your body depress the appetite, increase fever. So you work with the body and you say, I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to try and see that work. And over the years, you do this and you'll be amazed at how you could still catch the cold or you could get some other virus. But what another person will go through with it, you're not going to go through with it. Because you're going to know that there's means available and more. Because as I said, there's only so much we could cover that can bless you. So I pray that you may take these things serious, go out there, buy what you can, because everything I say here is important, not just for coronavirus per se, but for your daily health. And you'll find that your health will soar when you do these things, because you'll find that you're deficient. And as I said, there's a lot of people walking around mentally ill right now and depressed, and all they're needing is some vitamin D. They'll be amazed at what that can do. It'll lift your spirit, it'll make you feel more energized, because they probably need to go to the doctor and realize they're severely depressed because they're severely deficient in all kind of other stuff, not just vitamin D, vitamin C, all kind of stuff. You know, we eating stuff that's not going to be good for us. So at this time, Sister Tamar, if there's any questions, so just in case, we'll take any questions right now. And remember, if you want to share, ask a question, you can either um, ask it at Facebook or YouTube or the church website, or you can text 973-997-6855, 973-997-6855. And myself or Sister Joyce, hopefully she's still with us here,
I'm
will
with you.
take any question on herbs, natural remedies, hydrotherapy. And as I say, we have more to do in the future. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm going to welcome both back. I have you both on screen. The first question we're going to go to is from Facebook. And Sister Michelle would like you to talk a little bit more about talk about buying a dry sauna.
Sister Joyce will take that question. I don't know if it was direct to me, but Sister Joyce, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I have a dry sauna, and I bought mine some years ago. I would say maybe 15 years ago, but is I don't know really what they're running now, the price of them. But if you can invest in one, or even the one that the pastor was illustrating, it would be a great benefit, because I use mine at least twice a week minimum, and I don't have colds. I haven't had one, and only God knows when. And anytime I feel like a little scratchy throat or something is coming on me, I'm going in my sauna. Um, I mean, the benefits of that sauna, it outweighs anything that you might want to invest in at this point in time, because the circulation that you get from it, the reduced in your high blood pressure, because cardiovascular disease does run in my family, the removal of the toxins. Oh my! And just like the pastor was saying about Finland, they're notorious. I mean, they're known for saunas. Not only Finland, but Russia also, and it's a few other countries. So we need to do something for ourselves also, because after all, since 1866, we've had the health work here in America. So um, if that answers your question, far as a dry sauna, and that is what I have, a dry sauna.
Thanks, Sister Joyce. The
Mhm.
next question is coming from YouTube. And Brother Craig would like to know, where can we get vitamin C that will not cause diarrhea?
Yeah. So looking at, I saw that question because I was monitoring from from healing. So I would say from healingvineyard.com. So
Mhm.
HEALINGVINEYARD. You can get vitamin C that does not cause diarrhea. So you can take any amount of it and you will not have diarrhea.
So once again, if you have any questions, you can type them in at YouTube, or you can type them in on covenantadvent.org or on Facebook Live. Okay. Next question coming from YouTube from Brother Ernesto. Can we get a list of the supplements you presented, brand and dosage you use?
Yes, so I will post on the page. So if you go to covenantadvent.org and go to covenantadvent.org and then go to health topics, and you'll see I have a page there called coronavirus, natural treatments for coronavirus and natural solution. So what I'll do there is you can see already the outline for the various different immune herb, anti-inflammatory herb, pain herb, oil of oregano, tea, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc. So there I'll post links to the various different um, things that I have here, whether it be the sauna or the filter or things that I've seen that over the years I've looked up on and hard to find. But I think these are some good hard to find things. And then I should have mentioned that there is a breathing treatment that you can use for children that is basically an electronic one that you can put essential oil and water and it will use more control so you don't have to worry about if a child knock it over that they'll burn themselves. So I should put a link there also for that, just in case you have young children and you need to have a good way to give them a breathing treatment, but not have them close to hot water. So I think I'll put a link for a product or a type of product that you can search and read your reviews and see what will work for you. But yes, so this is something I'll do in the short first. Just have the page up and have basically some things already there. But for the links and everything you need, I'll put the rest of it hopefully by tomorrow. Yeah, so again, just remember, go to covenantadvent.org and then go to the health topics is going to be one of the main categories, and then you'll see coronavirus. In the future, we'll be adding more topics to this that we've either covered in the past or in the future, so you can get the videos and basically different things on it. So any other question here? And as I say, I thanks for all of you who come by. Remember that on that page, I'll have the presentation on coronavirus, diabetes. Remember to share the link to either the page or to this video so people can see practically what can be done. As I say, in each of these things, even if you do a few of them, you'll get some results. You want to do them. I do them on a daily basis, and I'd encourage you to do them. So at this time, go ahead if there's any other question.
And I see. Okay, I don't see any other questions from the social media pages at this time. Pastor, could you check the church cell phone?
Okay, yeah, I'll check. So from the church. So hi, is it okay to go to the park to jog? If yes, I still wear a mask. I don't know if the last part is if yes. Sure, if yes, should I still wear a mask? Yeah, so on the park question, most naturally, you're going to have to kind of make a decision based upon how much you're taking care of your health, right? And being in public. So some people still go out and jog, run. I probably would have to ask Joyce, because Joyce is a person that jogs all the time. If she wears a mask or not, or what would be her advice on that? Because for me, unless it's like somewhere where it's tight Like if I'm leaving from my home, I come to the church. I don't really wear a mask because I'm not doing anything with anybody, not interacting with anybody. If you're gonna be jogging out and you're by yourself, I don't know what exactly you would do. But Sister Joyce, what's your answer on that?
Yeah. Now CDC have changed some advice as far as running. Um, if you're running early in the morning, like I do, I get out very early, and there's no one out there. I still wear a buff around my neck in case I run across either a biker or a runner running towards me, or even one in the back of me. I will put it on. So you don't necessarily have to wear a mask when there's no one around. But if you're in a park and there's people, you need to uh, you need to wear some type of scarf, some type of buff. And now it used to be um, the runner should be maybe like 6 feet in back, and then it was 15 feet. Now they're saying 33 to 66 feet. And the reason being is because when a runner that's running in front of you, you have viruses that's uh, 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 I think I don't know how they described it, but it's like flowing from the front and the back of them off, and it takes about I think 10 feet before it drops to the ground. So they want you to be 33 feet or 66 feet, even in the back of a runner. So should you wear a buff or mask? I don't think the mask is not necessary. CDC didn't say that the mask was necessary, but they did say some type of scarf or a buff in case you encounter another runner or biker or motorcycle or whatever. Put the buff on. Even when you walk past a person, you can be 6 feet and they're like a fast walker or centurion walker. The same spread or how would I say it? The same flush can blow off them onto you, and it takes about 10 to 15 feet before it drops to the ground. So um, just try to get out early if you can. I try to get out just before the sun rise so I can, enjoy my run, and breathe the fresh air and not having to, have to encounter anyone. And then I even have the streets to myself. Um, Sometimes, yeah, I would want to go to the park, but some people with their dogs, they have the same ideal of coming out early too. So I'll give them that freeway. But yeah, um, no mask, but do have a buff around your neck or some type of scarf to protect yourself.
Excellent. I have a question coming from YouTube. Sister Martha would like to know, what if someone has a fever? What can you do to assist them?
Is that for me?
Go
Okay.
ahead, Sister Joyce, with that, and then I'll jump in also.
Thank you, Pastor. Fever, fevers can be your friend because, they're letting you know that there's something going on in your body that need some fighters. So you can let that fever stay up for at least, about 15 to 17 hours, sometimes 24 hours. Just keep an eye on it. Take your thermometer, and if they're not going into convulsions or anything, or they seem as if they're grasping for air, you can always put a cold compress on their head, on the top of their head, and then even the bottom of their feet, and just make sure the fever is 102, 103, and even in the course of the night you can you can monitor, you can monitor them. Yeah, fever is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, especially right now with us fighting that COVID-19. it's not bad. But if it goes over 24 hours, uh, yeah, you want to seek some help, Pastor.
Your thoughts,
Pastor.
Pastor, on helping fevers?
So
Yeah.
my thoughts on helping fever is there's some of the herbs like yarrow, boneset, pleurisy. They're very important in modulating the system. Also, licorice, astragalus. Some of those herbs are important in modulating the system. So what it is that you want to have a productive fever. You don't want to stop the fever. You just don't want the fever to get out of control. And
Mhm.
so the thing
The
that is
water.
best is to keep well hydrated. Because
Hmm.
as you're having a fever, you're going to be, number one, your body's trying to raise the temperature. You don't want to overwork the body. So, number one, you don't want to take in nothing cold. You don't want to put the system on a shock because the system is trying to warm itself up. And so you want to
Hmm.
work with it. You want to stay in, as Sister Joy says, at the start of the hydrotherapy session, that you want the room to be also warm. So you want to keep in a warm enough environment, not hot per se, but the room needs to be at least room temperature. You should be comfortable. You shouldn't be shivering out of control because that shivering means the body's trying to warm up. You want to stay very hydrated, and this is why I believe in using teas and using fruit juice. One of the things I'd forget to mention is that you want to do a juice that is going to be a juice that with something like collard, kale, celery, beet, and carrot. You want to juice some fresh those things and have it. And so you want to keep hydrated. You have to look at a fever like a fire. The fire is doing damage, and what you want to do is pour water on it. And so you want to keep the system hydrated because remember, if you're going to break the fever, you're going to have to sweat real hard. And if you don't have anything to sweat, whether it be electrolytes or water, you're going to be in trouble. So I would say to get a lot of fluid. One of the most powerful things I think they do for people in hospitals is they hydrate them, they put them on IV fluid, they give them bed rest. And so what you want to do is do that. You want to take high amounts of water, and you shouldn't feel parched. If you feel parched, you're doing something wrong. Um,
Hmm.
and so I would say that would be the main thing to make sure you certain herbs that are good or certain vitamins are high in your body that are good to modulate the immune system, which is zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D. So high amount of vitamin C, high amount of vitamin D, high amount of zinc, foods that have those things in it, and then you want to keep the body very hydrated. There's other things you can do, as I say, with the teas and stuff like that. But if you say what would be the number one thing I suggest for a fever, water. You want to get high amount of water in your system, and that will have it. And sister, again, I'd ask or mention this thing is that the dry cough is still there from February when she
Wow.
became sick, and the sister Charlotte here. So
Hmm.
can't seem to shake it. So one thing I'm going to suggest with a dry cough is the teas, and then also I'm going to suggest is to try the inhalers. Now you probably could text me and tell me if you've tried any of the eucalyptus, peppermint, menthol, that type of thing. So as you're coughing, what you try to do is to not only keep hydrated, but you
Hmm.
also you inhale some of these things because I remember Brother Green told me that's what he did to get rid of the dry cough. He was coughing. Brother Green saw you in February, probably I think it was 14th, and you were sick in February 14th, and I think now we're at April 18th. Am I saying that right? So that means you probably had a dry cough now for over 3 weeks. Many people find themselves with that same problem. So what you want to do with that dry cough is you want to try when every time you start coughing to inhale some eucalyptus, menthol, peppermint, and you could just text me and tell me if my numbers are right. So that's just too long for a dry cough. So that's what you want to do. And you want to stimulate your immune system again by doing the hot and cold and then taking echinacea, golden seal. I say to somebody that if you're taking some herbs and supplement and you're taking a certain amount a day, you want to double it and triple it for about 3 days straight while using the
Hmm.
eucalyptus. Um, um, echinacea, that type of thing. And what you want to do, you want to see if you can shut it down because that means the virus is probably still in your system. Probably if you cough, you're still coughing it up because that dry cough means something is still going on with the replication of the virus. So you tell me
Hmm.
what you think, but Absolutely. Um, I would say here, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just try that. So go to the health food store and get probably some zinc lozenges, and if you can find the Albus inhaler, and if you can't get anything else, I would say get the eucalyptus essential oil. It's a reasonable price because it's not a big deal. You get essential oil. If you have an handkerchief or something, you just drip it on there and inhale it. And what you do, you feel it calm you down when you keep coughing, and you,
Hmm.
you address that problem. And then take some, again, the vitamin D. Vitamin D is important to build the natural defenses in the system and to fight the virus. Vitamin C and then zinc, and most actually the immune herbs. You try those, and I think um, you will be able to get it. So um, so I think February 14th to today's 18th. So that's a month. And if you look at the virus, that's why when people were telling me it was a hoax, I was saying no, it's not a hoax because all the symptoms are similar. You get sick, you recover, and you have a dry cough for 2 3 weeks. As that dry
Hmm.
cough is there, I tell you the virus is still in the system, and they have tested people and shown officially that they can have the virus in their system for 51 days. That's the furthest so far they've found. And I believe it could be longer because I'm sure you've known people coughing for 2 months plus. And you say, why they coughing? Because that is still in the lungs. So this is where now, as I say, the eucalyptus will be very important. The almost for certain that there's a deficiency in vitamin D and zinc in the body if you go probably get a blood test from your doctor, although they're not doing anything like that now. So God bless you. Is there any other question?
Yes,
Um,
I have a follow-up
yeah,
question.
okay.
But before I get to the question, there are also some suggestions of trying mullein or Mormon's tea or feverfew and catnip herbs to stop the dry cough. Um, Also, there's a suggestion of lemon and cayenne pepper in water to also stop coughing. Um, the final question is a follow up to the question asked earlier about fever. What is the highest degree that we should allow a temperature to go, or a fever rather, to go up to? What's the highest degree that a fever should be allowed to go up to?
Sister Joyce, and then I'll answer. I think that's a
Yeah.
straight up question. Before Sister Joyce answer the question, I want to say Brother Green said online that he used also in the mask he wear, it would drip the eucalyptus oil. I think it is, yeah, eucalyptus oil. And I remember he told me that
Hmm.
in the mask. So as he's walking around, he's breathing in the eucalyptus oil and it helped calm his stomach. And that's a big thing he did. And I'll say some more things about the herbs. Sister Joyce, please.
Yeah, I would think, and I know I would safely feel if it's just one individual working with someone, 103. 102 to 103 is the highest because otherwise, you can risk the person going into a convulsion. If you were in a sanitarium setting or possibly in some type of um, health center setting, you can probably go higher because you have other um, professional people around you, other medical missionaries that you can all chip right in, put ice on the feet, because I've worked in that setting before when we took the temperature up to 104, but it was two of us, and we had to pack the feet with ice. Someone was constantly putting, a cold press on the head. So 102 to 103 is safe. It's a safe temperature to allow the fever to go up to.
Oh, okay, great. So, yeah, I would say, like what Sister Joyce says, unless you were having somebody doing it something for you, where they were giving you a treatment, um, to go higher is very risky. Now, you probably could go higher, but is you would have somebody working with you. I think it's
Yeah.
always safe to do frequent treatments than to do very aggressive treatment unless you were in an aggressive situation. And as I say, normally when you get to that point, the mistake is you've waited too long. So
Hmm.
102, 103, you do what the body will do when it's regulating itself. and you bring it up and then you try to control it. And as I say, no matter what you're doing, to avoid convulsions, you don't want to go higher than what Sister Joyce said, and you want to keep the person very hydrated. These treatments should not be done unless you're very hydrated, because your system, when you do even just a shower, um, the pulse rate and the heart rate just goes up so fast that
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to be able to have flow. And if you know you have high blood pressure, coronary artery problems, you don't want to do it extreme. So it's better to do every day a mild treatment than to do
Mm-hmm.
once a week a very aggressive treatment. It can do some damage, and you want to avoid doing damage to yourself, especially if you're alone. And even if you have somebody with you, I think it's always best to keep it at about 103 and no more. Okay, if that was the last question, as Sister Tamara had indicated, I will ask Sister Tamara to come and sing a closing in for us. And as Brother Ernest had said about lemon and pineapple, no, lemon and, sorry, onion, cough syrup. I didn't cover any cough syrup here, as I probably could have, but there's just so much that we could have covered in this short period of time. So I'm going to thank Sister Joyce for sharing with her knowledge, some of her knowledge that she has on hydrotherapy and health. Thanks Sister to Morgan, and for all of those who hear, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube or church website or Roku or Apple TV or wherever you at, as you've been with us probably from the morning until now. As I say, next Sabbath we'll be doing the health message in the morning, Sabbath school health message in the morning. In the evening at 5 o'clock we're doing a health seminar on coronary artery problems. I want you to invite your friends and loved ones who probably is suffering from heart problem, or they're developing a heart problem, or they're on the way, or you suspect. Share with them, and just anyone, because these principles are the same principles that we need to not only avoid the problem but to actually increase the health of our body. So this is what we want to
Mm-hmm.
share with you for the rest of this quarter. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sister Tamara to sing our closing hymn, and I'm looking forward to, and any question you have, you can still post in the comment, and if we can answer, we'll answer. So try these modalities, try these supplements. Next week we're doing a straight seminar, per se, not anything practical. And in the future we're going to do some other practical seminar. We're planning some cooking demonstration, some gardening, and we're going to be doing some of the seminars even on Sunday. So stick with us here. Remember to keep it connected. So at this point, Sister Tamara will sing our closing hymn and pray for us. So I pray that God may continue to bless you. I pray that this was a blessing to you, and I pray that you may share it with your loved ones. God bless you. Again, thanks, Sister Joyce.
Happy Sabbath once again. I'll ask you to please turn your hymnals to hymn number 522. Hymn number 522, as we sing Our Hope is Built on Nothing Less. Hymn number 522. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand, all other ground is sinking sand. When darkness seems to veil his face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ the solid All other ground is sinking sand. His oath, his covenant and blood support me in the whelming flood. When all around my soul gives way, he then is all my hope and stay. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. When he shall come with trumpet sound, oh, may I then in him be found, clad in his righteousness alone, faultless to stand before the throne. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. Amen. Would you kindly bow your heads as we have our closing prayer? Dear kind, gracious Father, Lord, thank you for these hours that we've spent celebrating the Sabbath and fellowshipping with one another. Lord, though we know it's online and it's not the same as being together in thy house, we still thank you, Lord, for the benefits of technology that allow us to keep pressing on in spite of the current situation that befalls us. Lord, as we're looking into this new week, I pray that you will be with each one who is online and who is here. May you strengthen us, Lord. May you help us to apply the things we've learned to take better care of our health. And I ask that you might continue to send your holy angels to protect us and that your spirit might be upon us as we enter this new week. Thank you again, Lord, for your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you again for joining us and for worshiping with us through this Sabbath. I pray that you will have a wonderful week and that the Lord will keep you until we meet again next Sabbath online.